All righty. With the time being 7:10, I'd like to call the Government Operations Committee to order. Can I please have roll call?
Gem?
Yes.
Petrella?
Here.
Petrella?
Here.
Wirball?
Here.
Besner?
Here.
Weber?
Here.
Lukaitis?
Here.
Fuchs?
Here.
Vanguard?
Here.
Munns? Here. Lencioni?
Not here. Okay. Thank you for that. First off, we have just information on video gaming. That was information only. Item 4, the omnibus vote, 6A. Can I please have a motion and a second to approve the omnibus vote?
Make a motion.
Moved. Second.
Moved by Munn, seconded by Gem. Roll call, please.
Gem?
Yes.
Petrella?
Yes.
Wirball?
Yes.
Besner?
Yes.
Lukaitis?
Yes.
Fuchs?
Yes.
Vanguard?
Yes.
Munns? Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Next up, we have presentations, actually, I believe 4 presentations by Chief Keegan. You have the floor.
Thank you, Chairperson Weber. So I have 4 items. Item 5A is a recommendation to approve a proposal for a Class B1 liquor license application for Tonichi Ramen, located at 3843 East Main Street in St. Charles. This passed unanimously earlier this evening at the Liquor Control Commission. The business is already operational. They filed their incorporation paperwork in February. This is an East Side business in the Jimmy John's Chipotle Plaza near Target. They're asking for a Class B1 liquor license. It's substantially similar to previous restaurants that have occupied that space. Hours of operation and the business plan are once again substantially similar. The business owner is here to answer any questions, or rather the manager, or myself. So with that, I'll take questions.
Any questions?
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Second.
Moved by Munn, seconded by Wirball. Roll call, please.
Gem?
Yes.
Petrella?
Yes.
Wirball?
Yes.
Besner?
Yes.
Lukaitis?
Yes.
Fuchs?
Yes.
Vanguard?
Yes.
Munns? Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Item 5B is a recommendation to approve an ordinance amending Title V Business Licenses and Regulations, Section 5.08, Alcoholic Beverages of the St. Charles Municipal Code. I realize that the entire code is within your packets and it looks a little daunting. Really, this is just an overview to review formatting, grammar, pronouns, as we get ready to push to a codification company. As you know, St. Charles is typically codified our ordinances in-house. We're getting ready to outsource that. So we went through the code with the city attorney, Mr. Peppers, myself, and city staff. There's really no substantial changes whatsoever to the liquor code. There is a few that I'll talk about in tobacco and massage, but with that, I can answer any questions that you might have.
I make a motion.
Munn.
Second.
Moving. Wirball, seconded. Roll call, please.
Gem?
Yes.
Petrella?
Yes.
Wirball?
Yes.
Besner?
Yes.
Lukaitis?
Yes.
Fuchs?
Yes.
Vanguard?
Yes.
Munns? Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Before I move on to 5C, that did pass unanimously, all 3 items at the Liquor Commission earlier this evening. So item 5C is a recommendation to approve an ordinance amending Title V Business Licenses and Regulations, Chapter 5.16, Tobacco, Section 5.16180, Tobacco Commissioner, Tobacco Commission, suspension, revocations of licenses, fines, costs of the St. Charles Municipal Code. Just a refresher for those that are new on council or relatively new, our Section 5 makes up the entire ATM or Alcohol, Tobacco, Massage Code. Each of these will be reviewed separately because each is a subsection or a separate chapter. This particular chapter, which is Chapter 16, once again, it's a code and formatting issue. We went through that to make sure that we were in compliance for the codification company, looked at pronouns, grammar, and whatnot. The only substantive change on this particular code and what follows is the fact that once a fine, suspension, revocation is handed out, we wanted to make sure all 3 of our subsections had a 7-day period for that fine being due to the city. So that is a change from what we've had incorporated into this subsection under tobacco. This will mirror then alcohol and then later massage. And then in addition, the Liquor Commission and Commissioner has the ability to fine, suspend, and or revoke a license. So what that means is we can issue a fine and a suspension, a fine and a revocation, or just a fine, or quite frankly, a suspension in and of itself or a revocation. So it gives the Liquor Commissioner and the Commission some latitude with how penalties are imposed. With that, the city attorney obviously reviewed this as well as myself and city staff. Any of us can answer any questions that you might have.
Any questions? Looking for a motion in a second?
Move for approval.
Moved by Wirball, seconded by Gem. Roll call, please.
Gem?
Yes.
Petrola?
Yes.
Wirball?
Yes.
Besser?
Yes.
Kulturitis?
Yes.
Folk?
Yes.
Bonnegarde?
Yes.
Munns? Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, thank you. My last item is 5D. It's a recommendation to approve an ordinance amending Title V Business Licenses and Regulations, Chapter 5.20, Massage Establishments, Section 5.20150, Massage Business Commissioner, Massage Business Commission, Suspension, Revocation of License, Fines, Costs of the St. Charles Municipal Code. Another reminder, we are one of only a handful of municipalities that have a massage ordinance. We've used this with great success. Matter of fact, I think we're trailblazers in this regard. A lot of communities have kind of followed suit. With that, we once again looked at this particular code to make sure we were in proper formatting principles for our codification transition. We looked at grammar, codification, pronouns, formatting, etc. With the attorney's assistance, the only two substantive changes, once again, similar to tobacco, is the 7-day period that fines are due, and then in addition, the massage commissioner has the ability to an and/or. So it can be a suspension and fine, a revocation and fine, or a standalone. With that, Mr. Peppers or myself can answer any questions you might have.
Any questions? Seeing none?
Move for approval.
Moved by Bessner, seconded by Gem. Roll call, please.
Gem?
Yes.
Petrola?
Yes.
Wirball?
Yes.
Besser?
Yes.
Kulturitis?
Yes.
Folk?
Yes.
Bonnegarde?
Yes.
Munns? Yes.
All right, motion carries. Thank you very much, Chief. Next up, we have item 7A. It's going to be discussed and presented by Jennifer McMahon. Thank you.
Good evening. In your packet, it references the Paid Leave for All Workers Act, which was passed and signed into law in March of this year. It's effective January 1st of next year. We've spent the last few months reviewing various webinars and legal analysis on this law. And what it provides for is 40 hours of paid leave for all employees in a 12-month period, accruing 1 hour for every 40 hours worked. And the Illinois Department of Labor just issued its rules, which are November 3rd. It was issued. You have 45 days to comment on these rules. But during this time since it passed, the management team has reviewed the impacts of the law, and we have two major concerns. The first concern is in the language of the law, it does not articulate a request and approval provision. It articulates a notification. So an employee just simply notifies the supervisor that they will need to take this time off. And then secondly, the second concern is the cost, the additional cost. So in terms of the request, or I should say the notification, our primary concern is impact on operations, providing services to our residents. Do we potentially have a notification of a cadre of people that we need to call in for snow plowing and that impacting our operations? And then the other piece, if we look at extending this paid leave to all of our part-time employees, the cost is somewhere around between $30,000 and $54,000, depending on how much time off they accumulate for how many hours they work. Adding it to our full-time, we're more around $135,000, $134,000 impact. And then a secondary concern from HR's perspective, and this touches finance, is the administration of this leave. So there's a lot of record keeping involved in this leave that supervisors would have to maintain and that we would have to track in terms of this. So the rules have recently that have come out said you can deny the leave under some very strict parameters related to operations, but there's a lot of record keeping associated with if you deny that leave. So under our home rule authority, we are allowed to pass an ordinance that would exempt us from this act, and this has actually been vetted through IML. Illinois Municipal League has done an illegal analysis on this. The other thing that the act provides is if we codify the paid time off we already offer through an ordinance, that could also exempt us from the act. So the draft ordinance that you have in your packet that staff is recommending does both of those things. It exempts us under the home rule authority and also codifies our existing paid leave. We have competitive paid leave. We're not losing any employees or jeopardizing any type of recruitment because of our paid leave. So we are recommending that, and basically it maintains status quo on how the leave that we have and how we can manage it. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Jennifer. Any questions up here? No? Looking for a motion and a second.
Move. Second.
Moved by Gem, seconded by Petrilla. Roll call, please.
Gem?
Yes.
Petrilla?
Yes.
Wirbal?
Yes.
Besser?
Yes.
Kulkaitis?
Yes.
Folks?
Yes.
Bonegard?
Yes.
Munns? Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. Next up, we have item 8A. Bill Hanna is going to make a presentation.
Thank you, Chairperson Weber. The first item on this section of the agenda is discussion of the 2023 recommended property tax levies for various special service areas. As the committee is aware, the city levies for 9 different special service areas in specific areas of town, generally small geographic areas where those specific areas receive certain services funded through these property tax levies. These include contracted mowing, parking, garage, and facility maintenance in the downtown, economic and business assistance for the downtown area, maintenance of stormwater detention facilities, and electric substation maintenance and improvements. Overall, the 9 SSAs that are listed in the agenda packet are not changing significantly from the prior year. SSA 1A and 1B, which support the parking maintenance and downtown support revitalization, are staying the same as the prior year at $81,000 for parking and $272,000 supporting the Downtown Business Alliance. The next 5 SSAs listed there are for essentially contracted mowing costs for SSA 5, that's the CMD Common Area Maintenance Subdivision, SSA 6 Cambridge, SSA 7 the Tyler Area Common Area Maintenance SSA, SSA 10, which is Royal Fox, and SSA 13, the Redgate Common Area Maintenance. Those SSAs are staying essentially the same, or they are increasing slightly, or in one case decreasing due to new renewed contracted mowing costs associated with areas in those SSAs. SSA 21 is the Foxfield Commercial SSA. The levy for that is decreasing overall significantly from $267,000 to roughly $168,000. That's because this upcoming year is the last year of the debt service associated with bonds issued in that SSA to fund various improvements many years ago. As we've been having conversations, we think it's possible that we'll be able to abate that final SSA levy associated with those bonds because we have accumulated funds in the SSA 21 fund to make that final debt payment. So that's something we're working out right now with our bond counsel, and essentially all that would be remaining is that $30,000 SSA levy for that SSA 21, which is essentially the Stewart's Crossing area where the Jewel is on the east side. And the last one is the SSA 57, the Legacy Business Park, and that $35,000 levy funds various electric substation maintenance services. So that is the summary of the 9 SSAs. Looking for any discussions or questions tonight, each one of these SSAs would be voted for separately at the December 4th City Council meeting. The 2 SSAs increasing by more than 5% would have a separate public hearing in addition to the normal city public hearing on the tax levy that we'll have on December 4th. So with that, just looking for questions and consideration to move forward.
Okay. Any questions regarding the SSAs? Go ahead, Brian.
Bill, thanks for your presentation. For tonight, you don't need us to approve each one individually. That's only for council?
Correct. We're looking for essentially consensus to move forward with these separate SSA ordinances at the December 4th meeting.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the SSA 2023 property tax levies.
Second.
So moved by Wirbal, seconded by Petrilla. Roll call, please.
Gem?
Yes.
Petrilla?
Yes.
Wirbal?
Yes.
Besser?
Yes.
Kulkaitis?
Yes.
Folks?
Yes.
Bonegard?
Yes.
Munns? Yes.
Motion carries. Next up, we have item 8B. We're going to get an overview of the 2024-2025 budget process. This is for discussion only. No action will be taken.
Thank you, Chairperson Weber. The last item for tonight is a short overview of the budget process for the city for fiscal year 24-25. This was talked about a few meetings ago. Just have a very brief presentation about what's Can everyone see that on the monitors or no?
No.
Sorry about that. Let me. Oh, I guess I can't share it. Okay, sorry about that. Since we have some new members on the committee and the city council, and to provide a general overview, we thought it'd be helpful to provide a very brief overview of what that process looks like, some of the key dates, and then have an opportunity to ask or answer any questions that you might have. So essentially, the budget process began last month formally, and departments have been essentially ongoing, coming up with their proposed budgets for next year. A lot of that involves the development of, obviously, personnel budgets, operating budgets, and various capital budgets, along with revenue estimates, mostly come up by staff in my office. Those estimates and discussions regarding those proposed budgets begin in December and continue through January. On January 26th, we are scheduled to have a City Council winter workshop, which will primarily be to discuss the significant items related to the city's budget process. And then on February 28th, we are scheduled to distribute the draft budget to the City Council for consideration and discussion at the March 4th Government Operations Committee meeting. That process essentially concludes on April 1st, where we have our official public hearing regarding the draft budget and official City Council approval of the budget, including any changes made since the draft budget was issued. And just as a reminder, the City Council must adopt a budget before the beginning of the fiscal year, which is May 1st through April 30th. And with any budget, this is something that we monitor and make adjustments as needed throughout the year and present those changes to the City Council regularly for any transfers or adjustments that need to be made to the budget. So that's the general overview of the budget process calendar as we're following it this year, and kind of a little flow chart of what that looks like. And really the budget process is essentially a never-ending process for us. We're either developing the budget, monitoring, discussing, reviewing. So it's essentially a year-long process for myself, my staff, and many of the directors seated over there as well. Just to provide a little context, this is kind of an overview of the major funds as they're budgeted currently. So you can kind of see where the major dollars are associated with the city's budget. Essentially, the city's budget is concentrated in 4 funds. The city's general fund, which funds police, fire, public works, and most of the city's general revenues that are roughly $60 million each. We then have our electric fund, budgeted with revenues and expenditures of about $70 million. And then we have our water and our sewer funds, budgeted at about $17.5 to $21 million for water and $25.5 million revenues for sewer and $30.2 million of expenditures in the current fiscal year budget. There are a number of other small funds included in the budget: our other enterprise fund, the refuse fund, several TIF funds, our MFT fund, where we have specific MFT dollars from the state. We have 3 capital project funds that we are using currently to budget for capital projects. We have 12 different debt service funds, which we use to make principal and interest payments on the city's general obligation outstanding debt, and 4 internal service funds and our 2 city pension funds. So this kind of gives you an overview of most of the dollars in the city budget are related to general fund, electric, water, and sewer. So what are some of the factors that staff considers, myself, Heather, and the directors when developing the budget? There's a number of factors, and they all interplay with each other and carry a certain amount of weight in kind of considering how we present a draft budget. On the revenue side, that includes what our projections for tax revenues are going to be for the upcoming fiscal year, what's our assessment of the state and local economy. I'm not going to read every single one of these, but just a few key ones I wanted to highlight. What is the revenues projected associated with our utility funds? What's been the usage? Are any rate adjustments possibly needed, with those utilities going forward? Development-related fees, what do we project for city permits, connection fees, and various things like that. There are a number of planning documents and plans that have been done that are also go into developing the city's budget. Number 1, the 2023 strategic plan goals that was adopted by the City Council. And as you can see, there are a number of other master plans, road maintenance plans, facility maintenance plans, as well as financial budgetary policies, fiscal indicators, and bond rating metrics that we all take into consideration when coming up with our draft budget for next year. On the operating side, there are determinations about what are the needed service levels to provide the desired service levels for the community, what are the personnel and benefit cost projections, what are the collective bargaining agreement provisions are that we need to take a look at. Are there any possible staffing or other adjustments that we need to make on the operating side to continue to provide the desired service levels for the community? Last but not least, on the capital side, we have our long-term capital planning outlook, roughly 5 years in the budget right now. We take a look at the road infrastructure, utility infrastructure improvements, and various other vehicle replacements as well. It's just an idea of some of the things that go into planning the budget for the next year. So there's a lot of factors, a lot of considerations, and just want to kind of present kind of an overview of some of the things that we're taking a look at as we walk through this process. And lastly, we just wanted to present kind of a rough outline of what the workshop on January 22nd will look like. We are going to have an overview of the status of the city's implementation of the 2023 strategic plan. We'll discuss some of the major revenue trends that the city has realized over the last several months in this current fiscal year and what our outlook is for next year. We'll have some discussion about our financial indicator projections and what those are looking like. What are the major capital projects planned for next year, as well as any significant staffing or operating changes that are recommended. If necessary, we'll have a discussion on any fee increases or rate adjustments that may be necessary to consider. And we'll also have a discussion on liquor licenses at that meeting. So again, it's just a really high-level overview of the city's current budget process and some of the things going into it. We just wanted to kind of provide an overview and have an opportunity to ask any questions or make any comments that the committee would like to make.
Thank you very much, Bill.
Sure.
Is there any questions on this?
I had a quick question. Bill, what was the liquor license conversation about? Is that more the fees or just the number of them, or?
I think Heather can address that.
That was a follow-up from the workshop that we had where we had discussed council initiatives, and there were some lingering items that were intended to be discussed at that workshop, and that was about potential restriction on additional liquor license. So that was the rationale for putting that in the update last week, for asking some further direction from city council before adding that to the workshop.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill, for all the information. I know that it's always been a topic of discussion about the whole budget process, so thank you for just kind of laying that all out. Appreciate that. Okay.
I just have a question. So for this budget meeting in January, is there a way we can get some sort of idea of how many grants that we applied for, how many were successful that we applied for, just to get an idea of the whole grant process and like success rate? Can we get kind of a little bit of an overview in January on that?
Yeah, we can provide that.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Don't need anything else from us?
No, just information only. Thank you.
Any other questions? No? Everyone's good? Okay. Next up, we have public comment. If any students would like to come up and talk? No? All righty. Any additional items from mayor, staff, council? I believe your teacher, government affairs, said if you guys attend the January 22nd winter workshop, budget workshop, I think you get extra credit. We have no need for executive session. I think there's a motion, a second to adjourn.
So moved.
By Global, seconded by Munn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Are you going to give me the extra credit? Do you have the ability to do that,
I do.
sir?
I know the teacher. We can figure this out.
Figure out how to get them extra credit?
Probably need.
Nice job.
I'll make it happen.
I'm sure you did 1, 5, 6 hours. Extra credit. Right? Could be this. Remember when it was full? We'll see you next week. Yeah.